Rashad, why you didn't
Anyways,
hit me up?
Hey, Rashad.
What's up, Rashad?
Thank you, Rashad.
brother, I love you, brother. Trump lit
What's up,
in it.
Rashad? What it do, boy?
We walking
Hey,
around the
Rashad.
world. Welcome back, welcome back to the channel. We are here for a very, very special edition, man. We got another live stream in the building, man. When you talk about funk, when you talk about real music, when you talk about instrumentation, production, songwriting, R&B, they said R&B was going, huh? I said, you didn't listen to Lucky Day, you didn't listen to Ordell. You didn't listen to James Artissen. We got James Artissen in the building. James, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Man, I can't call out. I'm feeling good, man. Energized to start this day off with you and stuff like that.
Man,
Okay, but before we get into the whole career and music and everything like that, I have to ask the obvious question, and you probably answered this a gazillion times in the past year or two, but I have to ask you anyway. So here it goes. Why the name switch from James Worthy to James Artissen?
Of course, that's the famous question. Well, a lot of people, of course, knew that I shared the name with the basketball player James Worthy, so it was just two of us with that same name, and for a long time, people either got us confused with one another. It was, sometimes a situation of me and him just kind of sharing the SEO space with people searching us and people finding one thing and finding another thing, and I'm like, at this point in my career, I just gotta kind of eliminate that confusion and just kind of not start over, but just kind of uh make a whole new lane. You know what I mean? And just kind of do exactly what I want to do as far as the name is concerned. So that's what birthed James Artisan.
No, 100%, 100%. I know Mike, the rapper. He he brought it up in an interview about how much his friends complain about his rap name. It's like, bro, please just change your rap name. And he just kind of laughs at it, and he won't change his rap name. Like, it's still just Mike. And I'm like, anytime I want to like look him up on Twitter, I have to remember it's like, because his Twitter name is like T6 Mike with like 3 E's at the end, but I can't. It's difficult to remember. Is it?
Wow.
So I definitely get that. And then obviously with everybody who's Michael Jordan, because I know a couple Michael Jordans. Obviously Michael B. Jordan, the actor, and then Mike Jordan, the editor at the AJC, the Atlanta Journal Constitution, and things that like they all have like Mike C. Jordan, Mike Jordan, Michael B. Jordan instead of Mike Jordan. So I don't know. There's definitely
it could be tough. It could be tough.
Did you think about like a James A. Worthy? So people like you just do the thing, or what was like?
Nah, it was just really like I just kind of wanted to get away from that name completely. You know what I mean? And because for so long people just associated me with that name, and moving forward and just the trajectory of my career, I just needed a whole new slate. You know what I mean? Like, now, of course, this has nothing to do with sports, but also just trying to get away from that side of it and just start new.
Shout out to Showtime. Shout out to North Carolina too, by the way. Shout out Magic Johnson, everybody like that doing
absolutely.
Everything. I wanted to ask you about like, okay, so James Worthy versus James Artissen. Is there a difference? Is it like 2-4 versus number 8? Is it T.I. versus T.I.P.? Is it Lil Tony versus T.K.? Is Sasha Fierce versus Beyonce? Are there two different sounds to James Worthy and James Artissen?
Nah, nothing really drastic. Like, literally, it's just a different name change. Same person, same sound, everything. And I also tell people too when they ask me the question, you know, it's most of the time it's not always a luxury to change your name, especially when, like, let's just say if you're a new artist, right? And like you went by a name for a certain amount of time and then you end up changing your name, it's probably going to be more difficult because you don't really have experience and time enough around your brand, so you're just kind of like switching everything over, and then like it's almost like you're starting over. But in my case, it's been a blessing because I've already been established and people already know me and people already know my face. They know everything about me basically. So it was a smooth transition, and it was, and really, a kind of a thing of people were expecting it sooner or later. So that was another great additive to it.
Well, was this something that you talked about in interviews a lot? Like when people were like, "Have you ever met James Worthy, the basketball player?" And you was like, "Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna change my." Is that something that you constantly said in your interviews early on?
I mean, people ask me that, like, but the funny part is I never met him before. But people have asked me that. And believe it or not, James Worthy is actually my real name.
Were you okay? I hate to stay on this for 5.5 minutes. But were you named after James Worthy, the basketball player?
Nah, I wasn't. I
Okay,
wasn't.
okay.
That would have been super, super cool, but nah, I wasn't. But ironically, my real name is James Worthy, and that's the reason why I named myself James Worthy as a stage name. But you just after a while, you just gotta move what makes sense to you and your brand, and that's where we're at now.
I know Childish Gambino for the longest said he wished that he hadn't picked Childish Gambino on a drunk night in college, and he was
Mm.
just stuck with that because he popped, and it was like, oh, I'm stuck with Childish Gambino now, and
Mm.
he'd be like calling it stupid or whatever throughout his career. Obviously, he's saying he's retired. We'll see. He's still making music and stuff like that, but
I mean, because
yeah.
it's gonna be hard for him to kind of step away from that because he's been so established with that name, and even with
But
his
do you
other
think
moniker.
wait, hold on, James,
Yeah.
but before you move on, but do you
Mhm.
think so in his case, since he is so known in the acting and Hollywood space as Donald Glover, do you think it'll be that difficult to transition to stop saying Childish Gambino, I'm just Donald Glover?
No, I don't think it would be hard for him to transition to just Donald Glover, but I think it would be difficult if he's still using the Childish Gambino name and he changes that specific name. Then that might become a task. But if everything is just gonna go to Donald Glover, then you know it's all good.
It's like Lil Bow Wow going to Bow Wow.
Well, I mean that's not that bad, you
But
know.
people gonna call like Jeezy, right? Like
Right,
people
right,
still gonna say Young Jeezy.
right. It's
So
just once something is like embedded in people, it's hard for them to get away from it.
especially like black folks, like with Tyler James Williams. His name is Tyler James Williams, but what do black people call him? Everybody hates Chris.
It's just like you playing a role in a movie and or a TV show, and then people have seen it for so long, so they just associate you with that character, and you just can't get away from it.
100%, 100%. But like you said, you're so established that like when you made the name change for the sake, like you said, of SEO and everything like that, it was kind of like, okay, well, we'll roll with it. Like it's just easier,
Yeah,
especially if find you on socials and find you on streaming
yeah,
platforms and stuff.
yeah.
Um, you kind of were born into a situation where you kind of like were made to be successful, like from the where you're from in New York, and then like, okay, I met Michael Jackson at 11. I think I could do this music thing. Like people don't just meet Michael Jackson and it's like, hey, I could do it. Like you don't meet Michael Jordan and it's like I'm gonna become LeBron James. Like that doesn't
Yeah.
happen. So for you, man, going back to everything, being from such a rich area of like the birthplace of a lot of this stuff for Black music. When you think of New York, you think of the Harlem Renaissance, obviously, and Duke Ellington. All that. I'm not sure if Duke Ellington's from New York. Is she?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
Okay. But when you think of the Harlem Renaissance, of course, and all those people, and then you think of the birthplace of hip hop and where hip hop is from, and everybody who's come from Queens and Queens get the money, everything like that. All of that, bro. When you think of that, it all starts in New York. So to be from
Yeah.
such a culturally rich place, how did that shape you and your sound?
Man, it was everything because it was just so much influence and so much culture and art around me in the vicinity. So, like when I grew up as a young kid, I always had music in the house. It was always around. So it was like that was the first inkling of me wanting to like do some sort of entertainment because I love music. I love all genres. It wasn't just like hip hop, R&B, like it was house music, dance music, soul music, pop music, whatever it was there, right? And of course, it wasn't until I had the chance to meet Michael that that was kind of like my decision, like solely that okay, I think I want to do music because if I got a chance to meet him, which he was one of my idols, and somebody at that age, and you're able to meet your idol like that, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity most times. So that was like okay, think this is what I want to do. Now, how exactly am I going to do that? And that became the trajectory of okay, let me be a sponge. Let me be someone that's going to learn how to do this. So by that time, I started going to record stores every weekend just to buy albums that I never heard, just to read credits and see album covers and open up the inserts and see all the cool, artistic visions that these artists had and, all the things that make an artist. And he just slowly climbed the ladder, so learning songwriting, then that turned into music production, then that turned into recording and mixing and mastering, all the additives that make a masterpiece. And you know that was it.
No, 100%. I want to go back to specifically that day of meeting Michael Jackson because, like, I think every black kid has a Michael Jackson phase. Like, I had mine at like 7 to like 10 probably, and then I remember I was 15 when he passed, and my mom was just like, "Man, I'm just glad it didn't happen when you were 7 because you would I don't know if you would have made it through this week and stuff like that." Like so and for you, like you said, to meet someone of that stature at 11 where celebrities are still larger than life than you. When you get older, of course it's like, dang, I grew up listening to you. It's crazy I'm working with you. I'm in the studio with you. There's that moment you got to pinch yourself. But as a kid, you're like, yo, you are the person to me that I'm looking up to in this very moment. So,
Right.
bring me back to that day, 11 years old. You're going to meet Michael Jackson. Where was it? What era was this for Michael Jackson? And just what was kind of like even the handshake or the conversation like?
um so this was a event that was for Michael Jackson at Webster Hall in New York. And really it was just a regular day, and it was probably like a Wednesday or Thursday or something like that. And I was with my dad. We were in Jersey, and sometimes we would take trips to go to the city, just to hang out or whatever. And this was just one of those days. To me, it was one of those days. And he ended up surprising me, saying, "Hey, we're gonna hang out in the city, of course, but we're gonna go to this Michael Jackson event." and I didn't even know it was going to be that until once we got to Manhattan. I seen all these buses and all these Michael Jackson impersonators and all these pictures. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? But come to find out, it was an event that he was accepting an award at that evening. And at the time, my dad, he did security for a lot of celebrities, so he's the one that had got the invitation for us to go. And at the end of the show, we pretty much kind of bogarted our way backstage. Whether it was his connect or whatever, I didn't know, but somehow we got backstage. And we knocked on the door, the green room where Michael was at, and he opened the door and like, "Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you." And I'm thinking like he's gonna be like 20 bodyguards or some crap like that. But he opened it and he was just the nicest guy. He was really cool. And, at that age, you don't really know what to do or what to think. Like, you're just like, oh, snap, it's Michael. You know what I mean? And that was kind of it. Like, he gave me a hug and, we had probably like a 5-minute convo, small talk or whatever. But it was just the fact that it was able to go down like that was just the cool part.
Now that's crazy. 5-minute convo with Michael Jackson is legendary, bro. Like you say, you probably like okay. At what point did you like? I guess value the interaction. Truly at the level that you felt like. I don't know if you kind of needed
Um,
to value it, but at what point of life did you really value that interaction?
it probably didn't hit me till like really hit me until like maybe a month later. Like when I kept replaying it in my mind, I'm like, bro, I really met Michael Jackson. Like seriously, like it was crazy. But like once it hit me, then it was just like a no brainer in my mind that okay, music is what I'm meant to do. And it wasn't just because of me meeting him too. It was way before that that I've always loved music, and it's always been in me. But I think it just took that interaction for me to like really say, hey, this is something that I really want to spend the rest of my life doing. Now it's up to me to kind of unlock my talent and potential to be great with that. And then sky was the limit.
Man, that's yeah, that's you pretty much you said it all right there. Um his voice. Now the impersonation you did, it sound more like the voice that we know in the public of Michael Jackson. Is his voice deeper than like does he have the deep voice that everybody says he has?
I mean, for my interaction, it was more high pitch. It wasn't a deeper voice.
Okay, well, hey, according to James, hey, James said it right here, man.
Yeah,
He said,
it
hey,
wasn't a deep tone. I mean, because I've heard those stories too before. And I mean, it could be true, but me, it was definitely a higher pitch for sure.
maybe he still did the higher pitched voice because you were a kid.
Maybe,
And he wanted to
maybe,
keep the character of Michael Jackson alive for you.
maybe. I don't know, but he was just real bubbly and real cool. The high pitched voice. Like, yeah, I'm thinking, hey, this is just him.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, man. Like I said, like a lot of your music is like funky and stuff like that, funk, soul, and everything influenced. Um, just like why was that so important to you to keep the essence of funk, soul, R&B? With your R&B,
hmm
why was that so important for you to keep that alive?
Um, I think it's just because like I'm a rhythmic person, and I'm just a person that just loves music with all genres and styles. So like I'm just a real big believer in like really just making what you feel. Like I'm not a person that just goes in with expectations of I need to make this, I need to make that, or whatever, or I need to make what's popular or something like that. Like I'm always making what I like and what I feel and what comes from my heart, and whatever that is just what it's gonna be. Now, whether that's, you know, house music, dance music, pop music, R&B, hip hop, whatever it is, that just comes out. Now, sometimes I might infuse different styles in some of my music, and because sometimes like I don't even really know how to classify certain releases because it's like certain things are just meshed together. You know what I mean? It just feels good and it sounds good. So like most of the time these days, you don't really know what to put in a category, right? So somebody might say something is R&B soul, but really, is it R&B soul? Like, is it because it could have pop music in it or whatever. But nowadays, like when people ask me that question, I usually just kind of reference like the style of like progressive R&B, which means like it's like an infusion of styles in R&B in urban music.
I remember when the Grammys added the category of like alternative R&B a few years ago. I'm
hmm
not sure if Leanne LaHavis was a nominee in that category, but I remember specifically like internet was the internet. And when I
hmm
saw the internet, I was like, oh, okay. I knew exactly what it was. Like it clicked for me. I think like you said, it's kind of like in not to go back to sports, but to go back to sports, it's kind of like basketball. Like in basketball now, it's a positionalist game. Like it's the point guard is 1 through 5. If you have a tall point guard, if you have someone like a center, like a Jokic or an Embiid, they can bring the ball up at 7 feet, shoot threes and block like they could do everything. And the
Yeah.
game has become positional. It's the same thing in music, thanks to people like the LLs and obviously on Three Stacks and I'm trying to think of who else. Ja Rules and Drake. It kind of took it to another level and stuff like that. those guys, Childish Gambino and stuff, like they kind of like infuse so much into each, especially like Gambino and Tyler Creator and all those guys now. Kanye, yeah, for
Definitely,
sure.
definitely, definitely.
Like those guys just infuse so much that it's like they broke down the wall. It was like you can make whatever to get, like as a black person, you can make a techno song. As a black person, you can make a dance record and then still rap and then still sing all on the same project. And it doesn't have to be. I remember Tyler when he won his first Grammy for Igor, he was upset at the Academy because he was like, this is not a rap album. Like this is a pop album. The whole Igor he's
Yeah.
singing, and you give him a rap album of the year because he's a rapper. And it's like, like he thought that was whack and stuff. So I guess, man, for you, like just with no genres, do you find, okay, here we're gonna say, do you find racism in me and or like others? I'll say others, to public, just being like R&B, soul, dance. Like, do you find racism at the root of that?
That's a good question. I wouldn't necessarily classify it as racism. I think sometimes people are just they're just conditioned to um a certain normal of, and I could go for anything, but let's just say music. Like people are just conditioned to certain styles of music, right? So if you're a singer, right, most likely they're going to classify you as a R&B slash soul singer or whatever, right? Even though you could be singing country music or you could be singing pop music or whatever. But especially if you're and some I don't, even though I still don't classify it as racism, sometimes it is a either gender or um and I even want to say just because you're black, because a lot of times too it's not because of the skin color, it's really because of the gender. You know what I mean? Because I've witnessed that. Like there's sometimes, you know, a female artist may get certain opportunities that a male artist wouldn't get, or vice versa, right? And or they might be classified as a certain style of artist over another that they're not, right? So, it's just like it just comes with the territory, Anything in music and entertainment, man, there's no like playbook. There's no timeline, there's no blueprint. Like it's really trial and error. And I tell people all the time, like, you can't compare yourself to other people, and you can't compare other people's success stories for however long it used to be to where they are now, whatever. You can't compare their success stories to you. You have to do what works for you. And if that's not what you want to do, then it's gonna be a hard road for you.
No, 100%. And I feel like you gave me the perfect segue for what I wanted to ask you throughout this interview and stuff like that. In 2025, at this moment, what do you think Leon Thomas's Mutt did for the industry, for how we view male R&B singers in modern day, and just male singers, and what I'm saying, people kind of like on y'all side, you know what I mean? Like what, like a lot of the names I'm naming, like Ordell and Lucky Day, and obviously the guy who wrote Climax from Usher and stuff like that, who's doing his
Hmm.
thing, and Denard Bernard, and all these people, right? I felt like people were always like male R&B singers of this generation, and you have Brian McKnight on one of your projects as well. I wanted to shout that out.
Hmm.
But like R&B's, what happened to male R&B singers? Like, we haven't had anyone since Genuine and this, that. I'm like, dang, there's always so many. And people have been saying that for years, right? In the underground, in the internet and digital space.
And
But
I
I
always
think,
hated that statement.
what'd you say?
I always hated that statement.
Yeah. Like it was like, it fell off. That. I'm like, dang, like just go online, bro. Like it's mad R&B, like making good music right now.
Yeah.
But I felt like Leon Thomas's Mutt broke through to the mainstream, and it was like, yo, it's here, and it's been here, and it's good stuff on this side for men. And no disrespect to the Bryson Tillers and the you know what I'm saying, all those type of singers and things of that sort. But the traditional sound that you guys say you miss so much and you haven't heard, it's still there. And Leon with Mutt, I felt like it was so impactful to show that y'all are still here. How do you feel about Leon's Mutt and kind of breaking through and what it meant for male R&B and male singers and things of that sort?
Well, first off, it's a dope record for sure. So, I don't think the record would have went far if it wasn't a good song, number one. But number two, to your point, is there's music everywhere. There's good music all over the place. It's just like I think people are just lazy these days. Like if it's not put directly in front of you, if it's not on TV, if it's not on the radio 24/7 or whatever the case, like they classify something as, oh, someone fell off or someone is not relevant anymore or there's no good music out or whatever, which is the total not truth. Like it's just you have to do your due diligence to find good music, find new artists, actually want to listen to something new. Like, I know people hold on to the nostalgia and they have their old playlists from songs from the 90s and early 2000s, and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of that music is great music, of course, but you have to be open to something new as well, because at one point those artists were new artists too. That music was new music too, and you had to give that a chance. So I don't understand why people are so um they're just like so hung up on not listening anymore. I don't understand that. Which and sometimes, that can deter an artist. And then also too, um, it just it's just an unfair conversation for new artists to thrive and break through. Because if you're not wanting to give something a chance, how do you expect anyone to break through? So with Leon's case, he's one of the few that had a record breakthrough, right? But also that, it goes into the whole other conversation of you got to have a team, you got to have resources, you got to have execution behind that. It's one piece of it to have the masses listen to a song, but how do you get to the masses? And that goes into execution, that goes into funding, that goes into all the other additives that the general public doesn't even understand.
It had to go viral on TikTok too to kind of legitimize the record of being a hit record in 2025, which is a whole
Right.
nother like it's like
Right.
dang, like how much do I have to do now as an artist? Like I gotta go viral on TikTok, they gotta do a dance or a dance, that's a lot, man. That's a lot.
It is. It
And
is a
connect
lot.
with the people lyrically and stuff like that. Like that's just a lot to kind of shoulder. I think it's also like a larger kind of life discussion here of people's just uh dedication to not being happy with their lives. Because it's like, I'm younger, but I'm still like in the middle of like I'm older but younger. I'm 30. So it's like I remember 2016 and everybody kind of like around my age is like or younger, like the generation before me, after me, the younger kids, the Gen Z, they're like, man, 2016, man, 20. I remember 20. It wasn't that long
I
ago.
remember it. Yeah.
Y'all
Yeah.
were complaining in 2016 about Ray Shrimmer. Oh, this is so stupid, the freeze challenge and everything. Y'all were complaining about a designer copying and sounding like Future. Y'all were complaining about Kanye losing his mind and his music ain't as good as the old. Now, all of
Yeah.
a sudden, 2016 just the best year for music. And I'm like, that
Yeah.
wasn't the case. So I say this as well, James, with to the artists, like you say, like yourselves, like Jogi, you've been playing all the instruments and been making real music for decades at this point now in your career. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't get discouraged that the masses and just so because if this is showing you anything, people are gonna appreciate it 10 years down the line.
Oh yeah,
So
they
if you
always
ain't making
do.
it for 2025, make it for 2035.
You know what, man? That is a great example because there are albums that people would like when it first came out. They would say, "Oh, the album is trash. Oh, it's not a good album. It's not good music, whatever." I remember when Kanye dropped 808s and Heartbreak. People hated that album, but me, I absolutely loved that album because, of course, my ear is different than the average because I'm a musician and I listen to detail and I listen to different things for different reasons. I thought that album was a masterpiece because of what he infused in it and the lyrical content that he was talking about and the melodies that he put in there. And lo and behold, years down the line, now it's one of the greatest albums of all time. And people were inspired from that album. People sampled from that album. People took from that album. Like if you listen to a lot of artists today, you can hear the influence from that album, right? But that's typically what happens with a lot of people. Like I give you another example. Like 2023, I dropped the EP with Big Gip from Goody Mob. That was at that time when we dropped that project, it was really kind of an experimental project. But as soon as we dropped it, now all of a sudden everybody wants to do joint EPs, a rapper and a singer. You know what I mean? And it's just like people love to take from something that's just totally new and fresh, but the downside is they don't want to give you the credit for
100%.
it.
And also to go a step beyond that with you and Gip connecting and stuff like that in the 2020s is the people reaching back to the old school period. Now it's like, oh, okay, now, oh, Dungeon Family cool again, huh? Goody
Right,
Mob cool again, huh? Like
right.
Metro Boomin do a whole tape with Rich Kid. Oh, the Playboy Cardi sample Rich Kids. Oh man, Schoolie, what's that? I'm like, dang, Schoolie 30 years old. He been here
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whole time. Bro,
Yeah.
y'all the last 15 years with Schoolie. Now Schoolie the biggest thing, you know, and of course Schoolie, he ain't gonna turn down no check. He gonna come on stage with you and do the Metro Boomin album and everything like that. But where were y'all when y'all said this person fell off? Where were y'all
Exactly.
when y'all wrote off Goody Mob and just said, oh, they old? Where were y'all then and saying, I'm listening to this? You know, I don't know, man. It's weird because remember, here we go. Another example 2017, 444 comes out. Jay-Z.
Yep.
Man, I ain't trying to listen to that old, you know, obviously a lot of the older people are like, this is masterful. You know, they got it immediately. A lot of the younger crowd was like, man, he old, than that. And he addresses that a lot in the album. Aging in hip hop is something new because hip hop is only 50, 52 years old.
Right.
You know, so like I think we are now learning as Black people and as the hip hop community to accept and be open to older acts and legacy acts still dropping new music in 2025. Shouts out to Ghostface dropping his album last week.
Oh
Shouts out
yeah.
to
Oh yeah.
Raekwon dropping his album a couple months ago. And shouts out to Eric Sermon dropping his album next month. And LL Cool J doing his thing last year and stuff like that. The older
Yep.
acts is no longer we just write them off or write them as legacy acts. And Rakim, we want to see you do Paid in Full. Rakim, we seen you do Paid in Full for 30 years, bro. It's okay to listen to Rakim's new stuff and listen to Nas' new stuff. You know, Nas winning Grammys. That did a lot for older rappers and Killer Mike and stuff like that. But for
Definitely.
you kind of, you know what I'm saying? I feel like stuck your chin out a little bit in doing a collab album with Big Gip, doing the full press tour with them and stuff like
I
that.
did. I did.
Because people weren't just younger people weren't just jumping to the older artists and being like, yo, this is a legend. We're going to give him his flowers. He's still dope and he still can make dope music and stuff like that. So how do you
Yeah.
feel about that? And like being one of the first of this time to give older acts, you know, their flowers and they're still dope and stuff like that.
I mean, my whole thinking, this has been for the longest, is like if I'm a fan of you and I respect you and I hold you up in high regard, I have no problem with working with that person. You know what I'm saying? So it was the same sentiment with Gip. I was a big Goody Mob fan and still am. I'm a big Gip fan. You know what I'm saying? So that was like really a no brainer for me. It was just the fact of how can we present this to the public in a way that not only it makes sense, but the music makes sense for both of us, right? Because for one, I had never did a full project with another artist like that. He's never done a full project with another artist like that. He's never really put out music talking about love and women. You know what I'm saying? So it was something new for both of us at the same time. And then also, I knew it would be shock value because nobody would ever thought about James and Gibb, let alone doing a whole project, let alone um, we're talking about what we're talking about in the subject matter. And then plus two,
And it's East Coast mixed in with the South.
exactly, exactly. And then plus two, um, I think some people were like probably expecting me to say like, oh yeah, James is now he's a new member of the Dungeon family and blah blah blah. A lot of people were expecting me to say that, and I never said that because I'm just not a clout chasing type of person like that. I could have easily said that. That is like family, but that's not what I'm doing it for. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of gave a lot of respect to the situation as well, especially for me. Like I think people respected the fact that I even probably had the balls to do it, but then also I'm not chasing clout off of Dungeon Family, Goody Mob, Gip, or anybody. Like, most people didn't even know the story behind how me and Gip even got to us making that project. Like that whole project came from a session that I had with Corrupt, because I was
So,
working with
see,
Corrupt way before I even met
see,
Gip.
like I said, when I first heard that story, I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." But it's also like you say, it's necessary for you to say because it's like James Ben had motion. Like a lot of times, people, if you're not necessarily always the most front facing person for you as a producer and like
Yeah,
someone who's been making dope music for a long time, you're not necessarily always the front facing person as the artist,
right,
James
right.
Artissen. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's important for you to like it's a fine line I feel like you have to walk in
Yeah,
when it comes to clout because it's like you don't want to come across as corny as a try hard and stuff like that. But sometimes people really try you. And I feel like that's the thing that I've dealt with in my journalism media career. I've been doing this 10, 11 years. And since I'm not the most famous or whatever, a lot of people might not and I'm not jumping out to be like, yo, look at me. But it comes to a point, especially at the negotiation table, it's like, all right, bro, like y'all, come on
yeah,
now. Like, let's look at the credentials of my peers and like these are the people I consider my peers because of what we've done, the events we've covered, and how long we've done this, the awards we've gotten and stuff like that. At some point, you kind of have to advocate and cheerlead and puff up your chest and advocate for yourself. So for you, like you say, that's not your personality. You've always been like a easygoing. I'm about the music. I'm about the business. As who said it? Over in Memphis, he told me, Kia Shine. He told me,
oh, yeah, yeah. Shout out to Kia Sean.
shout out Kinfolk. He said, I'm so cool with getting quiet checks. Like, so you could be cool with getting quiet checks and doing it for the love of music. But when you pop out with Gip and do a collab project, now it's like, oh, he trying to doing this. And it's like, no, I met Gip actually in a studio session with Corrupt. Like, being around legends is nothing new to me. Like, you have to do that
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
to let people know.
You
So,
know, you
like,
know, it's crazy, man. Like
yeah, go
it's
ahead.
funny. It's funny you say that because, and it's a very true statement. I've been around legends my whole career, and but it was really by design because I could have easily, and I have done this, but I could have easily stayed around the Katy Perrys and the Justin Biebers and all of that, which is nothing is wrong with that. But also, I go to where people rock with me, and I go to where I'm appreciated and etc. Right? So if you see me most likely standing next to somebody or working with somebody specific, whether they're old or new or whatever, that's specifically by choice and by design, right? So for example, when I decided to become a recording artist, right out the gate, I put out my first EP, Blue Leisure, which was pretty star-studded as a debut project. A 7-song EP. I had Tony Terry on there, Houdini on there, Diddy Dirty Money on there, Sona Relay on there. Like people were like, "What? What?" You know what I mean? Like my first single that I ever dropped as a solo artist featured Houdini.
Shout out Houdini, the legendary Houdini, one of your
Absolutely,
mentors
man.
as well.
Absolutely.
Going off of that, what's like the most important thing that Houdini has ever taught you that like stuck with you?
You know what? it was just the fact that I was able to just work with them in the beginning. That was just the first thing, because I was a huge Houdini fan growing up. Like One Love was probably like one of the pinnacle beats that I loved. Like as a producer, I'm like, this beat is like freaking phenomenal, right? So when I had a chance to actually meet them and work with them, I was like, man, like, this is super crazy, right? But they taught me the importance of ownership and like sampling your music and licensing your music and just so many different factors of them, because their music has been sampled so many times, has been used so many times, licensed so many times. Like if you listen to Freaks Come Out at Night, like they use that in Walmart commercials, NFL commercials, NBA commercials, like all the time. So I'm like, that's where it's at. And every time I was around X or Jalil or anybody in the crew, I was a sponge. I was a sponge. I'm like, I'm taking this information, that information, I'm learning. Like, it was just a blessing to even have that.
I wanted to ask you, going back to the pop stuff, like you said, like being around the Justin Bieber's and Katy Perry's and stuff like that, and now kind of where you are now, knowing what you know with the experience that you've had. Um, would you rather? Let's play. Would you rather? Would you rather kind of compromise a little bit for the sake of maximizing fame and or money, or would you rather make less money, be a little more low key, feel underrated in ways, but do and be around the people that you love?
No, I would never compromise myself or my art, because once you get into that realm, then you're not doing it for you anymore. You're doing it for someone else. You're doing it for monetary gain. You're doing it for other reasons versus yourself. And I've never been a person to compromise anything. I've always been a person of, I let the music and the art speak for itself. Now, granted, I've been blessed to have so many different beautiful opportunities afforded to me. I've been blessed to have an audience and a fan base throughout my whole entire career that's been loyal to me, and etc. So why would I want to change that now because of money or fame or whatever? Like, I could care less about being the most famous person on the world for what?
I mean, you're pretty kind of pretty close, or like have worked with, have a Grammy nomination with one of the more famous people in the world. And you kind of see, I don't know, me on the outside, nowhere near the Beeps. Like I kind of see how that has affected him growing up, right? So it's
Yeah, I
like,
mean, it's a
why would I
hard
want to
thing.
sign up for that?
It's tough, man.
And you met the most famous person ever to ever live. So there's that on top of that.
Yeah, so I'm a person that's seen everything from all different sides of it. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it really comes down to, what do you really want out of this? What do you want? What are your expectations? Is it because you want to be famous? Is it because you want to be the richest? Is it because you want the attention all the time? What is it? My intentions have never been to be the most famous. My intentions isn't always to have the most attention on me all the time. Granted, yeah, I can get attention. That's not the issue, but I'm not the person that always wants to be in everybody's face 24/7. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm totally fine with being in the background most times and just working on my art and presenting it how I want to present it. But if I had my choice, I don't want to be in front of everybody's camera 24/7.
You kind of have to be in front of people. Like that's the balance.
Yeah.
Like you have to do this. You have to do media every week or like once a month or whenever you have something coming out. Like you have to. So it's a weird balance thing, because like I said, like me personally, as a journalist, as a media personality, I was cool with, what I'm saying, doing the DJ Vlad where I set up the camera. I let you talk. I'm behind the camera, just asking you the questions. I'm cool with writing the story, whatever the case might be, right? And just
Yeah.
gaining respect from that. But after a while, like I say, my peers, the people my age, the ones who were and self-promoting, I'm looking at like they get booked for speaking to speak or host an event for so and so $1,000, and I'm like, dang, like I can use a couple extra. Like it will help, I got a couple
And
more
and,
bills.
and you know what?
My parents getting older. I can help them out a little more. You start thinking like that.
And it depends on the conversation too and the platform. Like some platforms you don't really want to talk, or you don't really want to talk to that person or whatever, like, because it just all depends, like, but it might be a platform where you're like, you know what, I would love to have a conversation with these people, to just see where it goes. It is those types of situations, and I've been in those types of situations too. Like, I've done interviews and been on platforms, I'm like, I freaking hate this platform. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to talk to any of these people. But then there's others that I love it. Like, I love the energy. I love the conversation. I love the talking points. I love all of it. You know what I'm saying? It's comfortable. I could be myself, and that's where you want to be, but all the clickbaity stuff and, all the fluff stuff, man, I can care less about that.
With that being said, light skins or dark skins? That was a joke. Don't answer that.
Don't get me in trouble with that.
Man, okay. Top 5 albums of all time.
Ooh. Oh man, that's a tough one. Just any genre?
Any genre.
Any genre. Ooh. Okay. Number one, Midnight Marauders, Tribe Called Quest. Yeah.
Shouts out to
That's
Tribe. Shouts out to Tribe.
shouts out to
Before you,
Tribe,
I
man.
had
Shout
to
out to
salute the
Tribe.
Tribe, man.
Queens natives. Actually, that's the first album that I ever bought, period, in my life. Um, so definitely Midnight Marauders. Um, mm, I would say Escape Houdini.
Okay. Shouts out Houdini.
Um, Graduation, Kanye West.
Shouts out to Ye. I wanted to. Okay, let's stick on Ye for a little bit because you mentioned Ye a couple times in this interview. I was watching. Shouts out to my guy over there at, off the porch and things of that sort.
Oh yeah.
My dog. But in that interview, you were talking about Timbaland and Pharrell and stuff like that, and I was like, did he forget Ye, or like what was kind of like, was that a conscious decision to because it was like all the people you were saying were like Ye's wheelhouse, but you didn't say Ye. So like, how do you feel about Ye, everything like that? I want to give you a chance to
Man,
like
Ye
give
is
it up.
like in my top five of all time. Like, what? That's I probably just forgot to say his name because it was just so much to think about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I
In
know
that
how it
interview.
is.
But yeah, Ye is top five for sure. Like, that's why I said Graduation is like number three, because that album right there is like one of the pinnacles. Um, Even though it's hard to even like leave out his other albums too, like not only just Graduation, but like we said earlier, 808s, College Dropout, you know what I'm saying, Dark Fantasy, like, come on, man. Um
And Spitty Will, that's the
yeah,
interview was
shout
made.
out to
And
Spitty.
that's his
Yeah.
platform over
Matter
there.
of fact, I
Want
gotta
to make
come
sure
back on
I
off the port, Spitty. I gotta come back on there,
yes sir,
but we
yes
gonna
sir.
get to that.
I'll send this to Spitty,
Um
see what we could work out. You know
yeah,
what I
man,
mean?
holla at me, Spitty. Let me see. Uh there's so many albums, man. Um I would say House of Balloons, The Weekend.
New school, new school.
Yep. House of Balloons, The Weekend. And that is a tough question, man. There's so many albums.
You want me to give you some names of like the quintessential albums or things of that sort? Like I'll throw out one name.
Oh, I gotta put in
Okay,
Thriller, Michael Jackson.
Thriller. Okay,
Yeah.
Thriller. That's one of those ones. Songs in the Key of Life.
Oh man, what? That's
Like that's the one that I'm always thinking at the top. I'm like,
okay. That's a great one. That's a great one.
it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough conversation for sure. But I think okay, no, I don't want to do that.
I mean, it's a lot. I mean, I could put Nas Illmatic in there. I
Yeah,
could
yeah,
put
because Apple Music put I think they put Blonde in the top 5, and that was a whole conversation. And I
you
was
know
like,
what? Oh my God. So I should have said this too, but it's tough because I would have put Ultra Nostalgia in there.
oh, okay, yeah. See, that's different. I ain't gonna lie, but that was when you said House of Balloons. That's the same era. So I'm
The
like,
same
okay,
era because I'm a
yeah,
huge Frank Ocean fan. So
yeah. Shout out to
yeah.
Frank Ocean. Blonde is not a top 5 album of all time. No disrespect. Shout out
Look,
to
no
Frank.
disrespect. I like Blonde, but it's to me, it's not his best work.
I agree.
I know other people have other opinions about it, but to me, it's not his best work. Like to me, Ocean Nostalgia is at the top. Channel Orange is right after that.
Agreed. And man, I ain't even gonna do that. I ain't even gonna, because it's your interview. I ain't gonna taint your video like that. I had more Frank Ocean opinions to give, but I'm gonna just leave it at that. Yeah, man. Okay, all right. So now like I said, you did you had the GIP era and things of that sort. You put out more projects with bigger names and everything like that as well.
Mhm.
Like I said, you had the one with I believe you did some with Cujo as well too, right? From Goody Mob.
Yeah. Shout out to my
Yes.
bro Cujo Goody, man. Yeah,
Shout
we
out
put out a
Cujo as
couple
well.
singles. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So and then Brian McKnight and stuff like that. What does kind of this next era look like for James Artissen?
Man, it's about to be a big wave. So most people probably don't realize that I have never put out an album. I've only put out EPs.
I was about to say doing the research for this, but yeah, I done listened to a couple projects, so that was like
Those are all EPs. I know people at this point will probably think that I put out like 3 albums.
yeah.
Those are all EPs.
Mm,
I've
yeah,
never put out a debut album. So that is the next point for me is putting out my debut album next year, right? So on top of that, I just signed a new deal with Universal Music Group. So the album is going to
congratulations.
be going through the Universal. Thank you. And yeah, that's gonna be the next wave on top of course, continuing to build my label imprint, which is Humble Sound Records. I have artists under the roster on that. So, we're just building each brand.
Shout out the Humble Sound Records family real quick.
Yeah, shout out to the whole team, man. Shout out all of my collaborators, all of my artists, Sophia Habib, Shina, BNGB, Truth Hurts, Robin S, Tanisha Kelly, anybody that we deal with, within the brand, shout out to everybody, man. I love y'all. Um, so that's really the goal, man. Focusing on the James Artisan brand, focusing on the Humble Sound Records brand, focusing on the debut album, and of course other projects mixed in between. But yeah, that's what's next.
All right, James. Well, dang, I appreciate the time so much. We had a good conversation and stuff. Touched on
Absolutely.
a lot of points and things of that nature. Like I said, I tame myself. You know what I'm saying? I tame, especially when we start talking about opinions and things of that sort. Because I didn't want to overpower everything or overstep. But it seemed like on this side, like you were very open and things of that sort. So
Oh
I
yeah.
take that as I'm very I don't know. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. And one thing about me, man, is I'm an open book. Like I don't sugarcoat anything. I don't hold anything back. Like I'm just me.
but
Like
you did say there's some platforms and interviews that you do where you're just like, oh, I ain't going. So the fact
on.
that you opened up to me, it was
Yeah.
like kind of like a compliment to me. So I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I'm a big energy person. You know what I mean? And I respect real journalism, and I respect people that take their craft seriously. I've seen you before. I've seen you interview people and some of my friends and peers before. So I understand what you bring to the table, and I respect it.
And shouts out to the Rolling Out family, everybody like that and stuff like that. Which
Absolutely.
placed me on that platform for a lot of people to see my stuff and and everything like that because without that, you know, folks wouldn't be knowing who I was in this space. So thank you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
Definitely.
Yeah, best of luck with the album.
Thank you.
I'm excited for it. As you know, you always have a home over here on this side
Much
next
love.
year and stuff to come back and yeah.
Oh yeah,
like,
we got to do a follow up. We got to talk
for
about
sure
it.
for the album
Absolutely, definitely.
and then you know Spitty, you got to go back home off the porch. All my
Yeah,
people out there
yeah,
in
man.
Atlanta
Yo,
back
holla
home.
at Spitty. Tell him James got to be back, man.
For sure. I got you.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll connect all that stuff. And yeah, thanks for stopping by. And best of luck. Best of luck
Thank
with
you, man.
everything. And thank you, of course. Like, we gotta say this. Thank you for everything that you've already contributed to the culture and to the landscape of music, keeping real music alive. Everything that you've done throughout these past couple decades and stuff like that. It hasn't gone unnoticed. And
Thank you, man.
and we want to give you those flowers here.
Thank you, man. I truly appreciate that.
And as always, everybody else watching, please take care of yourselves. Have a great day. Thank you. Even if you just watch the reels and the shorts, you still watch. So I appreciate y'all. And until next time, have a good morning. Have a good day. Have a good afternoon, evening, all of the things. If nobody else told you today, I care for you. Until next time, I'm Rashad Milligan. Peace.
Peace
out.
Rashad, why you didn't hit me up? What's up, Rashad? Hey, Rashad.
What's up, Rashad?
Thank you, Rashad.
Brother, I love you, brother.
What's up, Rashad? What it do, boy?
Hey, Rashad.